So good evening, everybody. We're still waiting for a couple of people, but because it's 5:30, I like to start on time. So we're going to get started. So welcome, everybody. Can everybody see okay?
Yes, thank you.
Good. So today is an expose of my new book, After Earth School, and it's a sequel of My Earth School that some of you may have already read. And you remember that My Earth School was all about living a skillful life. So it was about, in yoga we call it Antikarana Shuddhi, opening the heart and clearing the mind. So I had all the different modalities. Hey Jean, all the different, is there some seats down there? Yeah. All the different modalities on how you can open your heart and clear your mind. And what we found out in My Earth School, the original book, was that this life is Earth School. That, you know, we're here to learn our lessons, blessings and lessons. And then in yoga we call this, we call this this life, this world, Karma Kshetra, which means the field of action. So everything we do in life is action with cause and effect. So My Earth School was how to live a skillful life, and we realised a couple of things. One was that there's no lasting happiness in objects. So does anybody agree with that or disagree with that?
Agree.
So yeah, so objects give us temporary happiness. There's nothing in this life that gives us permanent happiness, unless someone's found the secret somewhere. So that's the idea. So the other thing was that this is really awareness becoming aware of itself. So then the next stage, the next book was where we realised that we're not our minds. And so this is kind of called self-realisation, which is when you realise that there's more to this world than the mind. There's another dimension apart from the material. But it's absolutely not the end. So self-realisation just means that you know that you're consciousness, that you're living in this world, but you know that there's another dimension. And when you hear about these fallen yogis, the fallen chompers and Christian whatever, vicars or whatever, that fall, it's because they may have realised who they are, but they've got binding desires. And so self-actualisation, After Earth School, is all about understanding that once you know who you are, it's a long journey, and it's an infinite journey. We're all a working hypothesis. We're literally all working our hypothesis to be opening our hearts, clearing our minds, and assimilating that we're awareness, because when we're fully assimilated, then we realise that we don't need any objects. But for most people, including me, we've still got desires that we need to clear. If there's questions as we go, do ask. So the first thing to get is that even though you realise that your consciousness, you're just starting your new chapter in your life. Yeah, and they go together. So there's two kind of paths. There's the path of action, which is, hi guys. There's the path of action. Is there still chairs?
These stools over here. So I won't run out of.
You okay with that? Yeah. So there's the path of action, which is the yoga path, or any non-dual path, where you're kind of learning how to open your heart and clear your mind. Then there's what they call the direct path, where you realise who you are. And they say there's nothing you need to do on the direct path, but obviously if you've still got lots of desires, you're never going to assimilate it. So although there's two paths, you really need them both together. So after My Earth School is the path of action, and After Earth School is the direct path. And the thing that we put in with After Earth School is every single tradition has this esoteric knowledge. So lots of you have heard me already talk about this, but we had this there's a famous monk who used to write in Yoga and Health magazine in the 80s and 90s, called Father B. Griffiths. And he was the first one that set up non-dual Christian ashrams in India. He's got two, he's long past actually. But he used to hold up his hand and he used to say, look at these 5 fingers. There's Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Islam. They all look so different. There's so much difference between them. But here's the honey. Here's the honey, and there's no separation. So in all the traditions, they all have this top knowledge. So in Christianity, we have mystic Christianity. The Muslims have Sufism. The Jews have Kabbalah. Hi, Nikki. Hi. The Jews have Kabbalah. The Buddhists have Zen and different aspects of non-dual Buddhism, and the Hindus have Vedanta. So although they all have their own path, the teachings are the same, but the Vedanta path is the clearest to understand. So the book very much is the Vedanta path. And my students over here must remember what Vedanta is. So Vedanta, in India, the ancient scriptures are called the Vedas. There's 4 Vedas. And at the end of the Vedas, there is a part called the Upanishads. And the Upanishads is where you have this sacred knowledge, where it kind of unfolds that you actually are much more than the mind-body sense complex. So Veda and then Anta means the end of the Vedas. So literally, they're at the end of the Vedas, and esoterically, it's the knowledge to end all knowledge. Because it's not information knowledge, it's wisdom knowledge. So, I'm going to be reading a few things, and we're going to experience a bit of non-duality whilst we're here tonight. So, even though many of you have studied scripture, you've gone to satsang, you've meditated, you've grasped this concept, and many of you have direct recognition, we're still not happy. We're still not fully happy. So self-actualization is when you are fully happy and complete. And so the stages are, there's my teacher James calls the first stage like the butterfly stage, where you keep getting, the Japanese call this the satori, you keep getting glimpses of who you are, but it doesn't last because you still get triggered in your mind. Then we start having the sakshibhav stage, this witnessing stage, where we're still subject and object. We're still looking at everything, but we're detached from it, until we realize that we are that, we become into the being stage. So the idea is once you recognize the concept, you've got to kind of keep almost brainwashing yourself to realize that you take a stand as awareness. So after Earth School is devotional, instructional, and contemplative. It's a companion. It's not the full answer, it's just literally something that you can read and remember who you are by. And what I've done in this book is I've included all the main faiths. In particular, Christianity, because that's obviously my background, and Yoga Vedanta. But we also include some Kabbalah, some Judaism in there, and lots of Buddhism, and some stuff from Sufism, from Islam. So you can see that there's no difference in the faiths. There's only kind of how we're kind of brought up, the culture that we live in. So I just want to read out. So in Vedanta, when you're reminding yourself who you are, this is called Nidhyasana, and they say there's 5 main things to learn, to remember, I should say. I'm going to read these 5 things out, and in the book I recommend you put it on the fridge. And these are the main 5 things to learn. So they call these the captures of Vedanta. I am of the nature of eternal and all-pervading consciousness. I am the only source of permanent peace, security and happiness. By my presence, I give life to the material body, and through the material body, experience the material universe. I am never affected by any event that happens in the material world or in the material body, mind, sense complex. By forgetting my real nature, I convert life into a burden, and by remembering my real nature, I convert life into a blessing. So as we're going to feel in when we go into our meditation, we are composed of spirit and matter, spirit and nature. And when we kind of only identify with the material part of us, it's limited. We always think we need something to be happy. When we realize, and certainly when we start to meditate, and we start to feel consciousness, we start to feel bliss, we realize there's an infinite part of us that we can start connecting to. And the more we connect to the consciousness that we are, the happier that we will become. And so, so I'm going to read, actually I'm going to go into our first meditation. Let's go into our first meditation. Let's get nice and calm and relaxed. And we'll do our first one. And I'll give you just an idea of getting out the thinking mind. See which one I'm going to do. do a beyond the body meditation. There's lots of different meditations in here, and you could record them and you could listen to them. Okay, so let's close our eyes. Let's get nice and comfortable, and let's take some deep breaths. Maybe dropping your shoulders down from your ears. Now notice that there might be sounds, sensations, feelings and thoughts arising, but that you, the witnessing awareness to these things arising, are always present. Notice that you are this clarity. You are present whether objects are arising or not. If there are objects, you are already there as that which knows the presence of the objects. If there are no objects, you are already there as that which knows the absence of the objects. Regardless of the presence or absence of objects, you're there. Notice that you're not an observed object at all, but the open, spacious, brilliant clarity in which objects arise. You cannot grasp this clarity, for it is the very spaciousness in which grasping arises. Notice that there are no walls to this clarity. There are no edges to you. You are borderless. Nothing contains you. You are limitless, pure, eternal, complete, infinite awareness. So now start by noticing, just noticing the body form. Now, as awareness, the mind may suggest that there's a body in the chair, but this actually comes from memory. With your eyes closed, you can't see them. Now let's investigate. Right now, who are you? Silent, aware, existing, alive, nothing. Do you see any boundaries or limitations to who you are? There are no limitations, there are no boundaries. But you're aware of a sensation which is happening. It's the body sensation, including the chair. You're aware of sensations that are happening. We call them one boat sensation. This sensation is like a thought, and it may stay longer, it may stay for 80 or 90 years. It's a thought sensation that says you are this mind-body sense complex. You're not in the body, you only believe so. If this body drops, the sensations will be gone, yes? Sensations are like obstacles or appearances. You can call them energy. You are not the energy that's happening in awareness. Energy still has boundaries and belongs to the play of Leela happening in you. Are you aware of space now? You're not the space. Space is happening in you, in the realm of boundaries is happening in you. You've recognized that there are no limitations or boundaries, but you are aware of a sensation within you. Do you find this who you are located anywhere? There's a tendency to say it's the body, but that's just a sensation in you, and you don't know where it's happening. But you can see what is true by knowing who am I. Before you were thinking that I was in the body, which is a logical conclusion. Now you know who you are. You're not in the body. The body is arising as a sensation in you. You can't even think of it the other way around anymore. All of your actions are in the dream. They're not you. You're the watcher of these actions. You're silently aware. Right now, see who you are. Silently aware, existing, alive, nothing. Now open your eyes. Notice that you're aware of the sensations. It's all happening in you, awareness. Everything is in you. The universe, whatever you're aware of is happening in you. It's not you, it's happening in you. whether you imagine or see, whether it's an actual rock or an imagined rock, it's happening in you, awareness. The universe, the space, energy, time, all belong to the play of Leela. Time is happening in you, you're not time. There is no beginning or end. Your body mind may be 38 right now. 38 years may have passed. But has this happened? No, it's just a remembrance of the mind. And how much can you remember? Can you even remember what you had for lunch yesterday? Who you are is pure, ordinary awareness. Everything else is a concept and nothing ever happened. Time belongs to the realm of boundaries, for the hair to grow, flowers to bloom, trees to produce oxygen, etc. This who you are exists without Leela's play, which is the movie that we live in. But Leela's play cannot exist without you, awareness. This is who you are. No experience, no identity, no boundaries, no limitations. Purely aware, alive, no body, only awareness. Does that sound absolutely crazy? So this is the concept to get. And obviously this is, for a lot of you who haven't kind of been exposed to yoga philosophy, it's a big kind of ask to think that you are awareness, but we're all in awareness all the time. There was a famous yogi in America called Meher Baba, who used to say man minus God, minus mind equals God. We are always in our thinking minds. We are stuck in our thinking minds more than any other generation that's ever lived. If you think of people 100 years ago, 200 years ago, look how slow their minds were. Look how there's so less distractions. Look how distracted we are now. I mean, can you think of sitting down for 10 minutes without doing anything? Can you imagine that? But the thing is, when you do, if you can get out of your thinking mind, you go from first gear to neutral. When you go to neutral, you are in awareness. We're never not present. We're always in awareness, but we don't value awareness because we think it's boring. When we value awareness, the new dimension starts to unfold. And After Earth School is all about valuing that new dimension, which is not new, it's primordial, it never had a beginning, it's never going to have an end. And we can actually connect straight into awareness. Or the Buddhists call it mindfulness. We've all heard of mindfulness. The Christians call it stillness. But how many of us sit and be still? We just can't anymore. So that's why things like meditation are absolutely needed in our lives to get a taste of, to get a value for awareness. Because as you start to enjoy meditation, meditation is getting out of your thinking mind. So as you start to really enjoy consciousness, then you have a value for it. And then during your day, you're going to start pausing between your thoughts. Otherwise, you're never out of first gear, and you never actually realize your full potential. So our full potential, as the Greeks said, know thyself, is knowing who we really are, and you can't assimilate that unless you experience it. And if you're always in your thinking mind, you never actually get an experience of it. Even though you're always there, you're never not present. Is there any questions on that so far? Let me know if anything's coming up for you guys. I'd like to just, on the fact that all religions have the same kind of unfolding of awareness, there's a famous book, Tao Te Ching, that many of you are probably familiar with, by Lao Tzu. And there's one of these lovely sayings. In the back of this book, I put some meditations and contemplations from other paths, including English poets and different poets from around the world. There's one I'm going to read later by, who's heard of Lord Byron? Most of you. Lord Byron was one of the wildest, most crazy of our aristocrats, and yet he wrote the most elegant poetry. It's such a paradox. So we're going to read one of his poems before we finish today. But I just want to share with you Lao Tzu, because you'll see that there's no difference between any of them. So this is from the Tao Te Ching. Break into the peace within. Hold attention in stillness and in the world outside. You will ably master the 10,000 things. All things rise and flourish. and go back to their roots. Seeing this return brings true rest, where you discover who you really are. Knowing who you are, you'll find the constant. Those who lack harmony with the constant court danger. But those who have it gain a new vision. They act with compassion. Within themselves, they can find room for everything. Having room, they rule themselves and lead others wisely. Being wise, they live in accordance with the nature of things. Emptied of self and one with nature, they become filled with the Tao. The Tao endures forever. Those who have attained harmony with the Tao will never lose it, even if their bodies die. It's absolutely the same as mystic Christianity, Sufism, Vedanta, and so we've got examples of all the different traditions, and you can see there's just no difference in any of them. So when we look at Vedanta, we realize that we are consciousness. There's a thought we need to keep, and in Vedanta we call this the ahandakara vritti. So it's a thought that you've got to keep thinking that is I am awareness, and you've got to take your stand in awareness for it to actually become real. Otherwise, it's kind of it's just an internal intellectual concept. You've literally got to keep saying I am awareness, and think of yourself like, think of Leon or whoever you are as something arising in you, awareness. And then you can start detaching, you can start seeing this life as a movie. Because in reality, this life is a movie, and if anybody likes video games, I know Tom likes video games, in reality we got a little avatar. And our little avatar is who we are, and we're playing that little avatar. We're actually the watcher. And that little avatar has its own program. And in Earth School, you remember the Enneagrams. Many of you have got your who's got their Enneagram? I think probably most of you here. So you know that we come in with a program, and we've got to know how to override our program. And we override our program in this life by changing our response. If to grow in life, we've got to change our response. Otherwise, we're always reacting from our program. Either we walk away, or we have a big argument. We're not learning. So changing our response is changing our program. And then the key to changing our program is keeping calm. Many of you have heard I'm going to see if I can find it, the poem to Keeping Calm. Do you remember that one? From Ramana Maharishi. Let me see if I can read that out to you, because it's another one that should be remembered, because when you keep calm, you get out of your thinking mind. So this was from Robert Adams, and it was a discussion he had with Ramana Maharishi. The only spiritual life you need is not to react. To be calm is the greatest asset in the world. It's the greatest city, the greatest power you can have. If you can only learn to be calm, you'll solve every problem. This is something you must remember. When you are perfectly calm, time stops. There is no time. Karma stops. Samskaras stop. Everything becomes null and void. For when you are calm, you are one with the entire energy of the universe, and everything will go well with you. To be calm means that you're in control. You're not worried about the situation, the outcome, what is going to happen tomorrow. To be calm means everything is all right. There is nothing to worry about, nothing to fret over. This is also the meaning of the biblical saying, be still and know that I am God. To be calm is to be still. The only spiritual life you need is not to react. So this is part of my Earth School, where we've got to control our emotions and our thoughts. So if we want to assimilate that we are consciousness, we've got to be able to keep calm. And we know that when we're angry, we lose our sense of self. We lose who we are. Let's see what else to say here. So Catherine's not here today, so we're going to talk about a little bit of science. Because on teacher training on the weekend, there's lots of science questions. So I was kind of showing up a little bit before she came, but she's not here today. She couldn't get here in time. But it's interesting because science and philosophy are now starting to come together, and in particular quantum physics and metaphysics. And so where they're coming together is in the fact that they're starting to see this world as not real. The only big difference with Vedanta is we see that there is no subject-object. So if you think of metaphysics or quantum physics, you've still got an observer and the observed, which we call duality. In Vedanta, the whole idea of becoming, knowing that your consciousness is there's no separation. So there's no separation, there's no, even though we have what they call Sakshibhav, an observer, the observer is part of consciousness, there's no difference. And like in quantum, we have like the entanglement theory, but again, what the big thing that we're still trying to grapple with in science is if there's space between these two, how come there's a connection? And the connection is consciousness. There is no separation anywhere. And so what we understand in Vedanta and in awareness is we are not separate at all in this life. We're only separate as the mind-body-sense complex. When we get beyond the mind-body-sense complex, there is no separation. So if we're all here meditating, when we meditate without a thinking mind, we're all in one consciousness. As soon as we get back to our mind-body-sense complex, we're all separate. Does that make sense? The idea then is we want to toggle between the both. So we want to be able to understand that actually nothing can really affect us in this life because it's like a movie, but we want to be grounded. We want to be able to pay the bills, have our lovely families, go to work, whatever we need to do. Otherwise, if you kind of just get the fact that you're only consciousness, there's no grounding. And you know, there was quite a famous yogi that lived near Rishikesh in Devaprayag, and he was, this is like the 80s and the 90s, and people used to do pilgrimage up to this yogi, and he was like a Mauni Baba, which is a silent yogi. And he kind of exuded spirit, peace, consciousness, etc. And one day he had a heart attack, and they had to bring him down to Rishikesh to the hospital, and he drove everybody mad. He was screaming and shouting at the nurses, so he was never grounded. So although he realised who he was, he never cleared all his patterns. And what you'll find in life is we clear our patterns through our relationships. So you remember that in my Earth School, our inner circle are our pets. We call them our personal emotional trainers, which is our parents, our siblings, our children, our friends. This is how we learn in life. And we learn in life by thinking, how can I respond differently? So there's two things to remember. There's the path of action, which is the path of self-mastery, working on our thoughts and emotions, and there's the direct path, which is realizing who you are already. So I'm going to do one more meditation, and then we're going to have the poem that I'd like to read by Lord Byron, and then we'll kind of see if there's questions and answers. Any questions on the floor? So we're going to do, which meditation should we do? Page 206, let's see which one I had. Okay, so let's try this one. How are we doing for time? We've still got some time. Okay, so let's get nice and comfortable. Close your eyes. Okay. So once again, we're going to take a few nice deep breaths, drop our shoulders down from our ears, and notice that there might be sounds, sensations and feelings. And there may be thoughts arising in you, but that you, the witnessing awareness to these things arising, are always present. Now this practice that we're going to do is called awareness of awareness. It involves shifting the focus from the objects of experience. Objects that arise is absolutely everything. Emotions, thoughts, your body, everything is an object in awareness. So they're all arising in you, the awareness that experiences them. So we're going to take a moment to connect with yourself. Yourself is the background that continuously operates beyond the mind. It's the pure awareness presence. Now notice the thought that you're in and consider if you are still you whilst observing the thought. Before the thought and once the thought has subsided. Yes, you are what never changes and makes all arisings possible. Now notice the feeling of emotion you're experiencing right now. What mood are you in? Are you happy, agitated, calm or sad? Where were you before this feeling, during and after? Yes, you never moved and you were never affected by these feelings. You are what never changes and makes all arisings possible. Think of the infinite blue sky and think of all of the rain, the storms, the different weather patterns. You are never affected, like the blue sky is never affected. Be aware of the sounds around you. Maybe traffic passing, maybe birds singing. Notice that these sounds are arising and falling in your awareness. You're the receptacle of all. Nothing arises that is apart from you. You are what never changes and makes all arisings possible. Like memories that appear and disappear again, arising and falling in your awareness. Now take a moment and notice sensations in the body. Maybe you're back against a chair or your feet on the floor. These sensations come and go in consciousness. Nothing is permanent. Everything is a coming and a going, except for you. You are the unchanging peace that is never not present, which makes all things possible. So what can be removed? Everything that is changing is non-essential. So what's left? What is fundamental and can't be removed? What is this critical aspect that is so intimate, so familiar, that's closer than your jugular? Yes, you. The pure awareness that is never affected by any of the contents of the body-mind sense complex. You are the substratum of all creation. When you choose to identify as presence, your worldview in life itself change from limited to limitless, from suffering to enjoying, from death to immortality. So let's explore this. Take a moment to see if you can describe yourself. What words come to you? Perhaps peace, joy, limitless, full and complete. Yes, this is the real you. That which is always perfect, eternal, changeless presence. We so often get lost in the content that we overlook the most obvious aspect of our very being, the presence that is forever shining. So gently open your eyes. So these are just kind of examples of being in awareness and realizing that that's kind of who we are. I'm just going to finish off with this reading from Byron. Let's see which page that is, Lord Byron. The Pathless Woods. It's amazing because he sounds like he was self-realized, and yet if you Google him, he had the most crazy life. He was kicked out of England, he lived most of his life abroad. He had an affair with his, I think his half-sister. He was just had the most crazy life. But his writing is crazy, really incredible. This is the pathless path. There is a pleasure in the pathless woods. There's a rapture on the lonely shore. There is society where none intrudes, by the deep sea and music in its roar. I love not man the less, but nature more. From these are interviews in which I steal, from all I may be or have been before, to mingle with the universe and feel what I can ne'er express, yet cannot all conceal. Roll on, thou deep and dark blue ocean, roll. 10,000 fleets sweep over thee in vain. Man marks the earth with ruin, his control stops with the shore upon the watery plain. The wrecks are all thy deed, nor doth remain a shadow of man's ravage save his own. when for a moment, like a drop of rain, he sinks to the depths with bubbling groan. Without a grave, unknelled, uncoffined and unknown, he steps and not upon thy paths, thy fields are not a spore for him. Thou dost arise, and shake him from thee the vile strength he wields. For earth's destruction thou dost all despise, spurning him from thy bosom to the skies, and send'st him shivering in thy playful spray, and howlings to his gods where happily lies his petty hope in some near port or bay, and dashes him again to earth, there let him lay. There's quite a few different inspirations in this book, but that's a little expose of After Earth School. So questions? Any questions, guys? And there doesn't need to be. Tom.
Yeah, I've asked you enough already over the years, but so it sounds like we're trying to stop thinking, but also like it's quite natural to have thoughts come and go. How do you know when it's kind of like, oh, this is a useful thought and I need to listen to it and go with it, versus like this is kind of repetitive kind of noise that I just need to kind of ignore? So how do you differentiate between kind of like
good question. So basically when you have thoughts, there's thoughts from the ego and there's thoughts you could say that they come through consciousness. Thoughts that come through consciousness